Hey, everybody's welcome back. We were with Shannon. Shannon, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Shannon Seymour, and I am the proud mom of Luka, who has NKH and is three and a
Nice.
half.
Um, so this is the first time we've ever really met. I know you've met Amanda before, I think at the conference. Was it
There too.
2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I actually didn't go, but I've spoken to her on Facebook quite often.
Um,
Yep.
so yeah, this is like all new for us. So basically, just what I want to do is just start from the beginning. Tell us about yourself and Luca and kind of how everything fell into place from birth to diagnosis.
Yep. Okay. So my husband and I, we have three boys. Luka being our middle son. So we have a 5-year old, and then obviously Luka's three and a half, and then we have a 2-year old. Um, Pregnancy with Luka was normal. No issues up until he was born at 39 weeks, so he was full term. I had gone into the hospital for decreased movement. I could still feel him, but they teach you how to do the counts per hour, and I noticed it decreased significantly. So we went into labor and delivery, and then naturally contractions started on their own. So they decided to keep us. Um, Easy delivery, no issues. He cried once when he was born. He breastfed once. Looking back, I'm very lucky that that even happened. And then after that, he never opened his eyes, never cried. I had to set alarms in the hospital to wake him up to eat, and even then, he wouldn't eat. So they brought me a breast pump and syringes and said, "Here you go, feed him this way." And every time I would tell the nurses, the doctors, I said, "This isn't right." My other son cried, woke up on cue when he was hungry or if he had a dirty diaper. And they just kept saying, "Sleepy baby. It's just a sleepy baby," which I think so many of us get told. And they don't listen, unfortunately. I've heard it time and time again with other people I've talked to. So yeah, they just told me he was a sleepy baby and sent me home with syringes to feed my newborn.
Yeah, that's like
And he never
that's
woke
something that we've
up.
heard quite a bit.
Yep, we had him home 3 days. Mhm. Yep, he never woke up. We set alarms, and if we were lucky, we'd maybe get a couple mLs in him, and it's like he didn't know how to eat. I don't know, it was hard, especially since I'd had a normal newborn before him. So I think he was 48 hours old. We took him to the pediatrician. I can't remember exactly how much weight he lost, but they were pretty alarmed. Said, "Go home, keep trying, come back first thing in the morning." We brought him back. He was 72 hours old to the pediatrician. And they thought their thermometer was broken. They couldn't get a temp on him at all. And then they heard something in his heart too. And they said, "Go straight to the ER. Do not stop at home for clothes or anything." Um, we got to the ER and there was probably 25 people waiting for us. And talking to the pediatrician, he said, looking back, "I should have life flighted you guys to the hospital." And he said that he kind of kicked himself for not doing that for us. But we got him to the hospital. He was hypothermic. That's why the thermometer never worked at the pediatrician's office. He was that cold. We went straight to PICU. He was intubated that day. They initially thought he had meningitis. So he actually did have a lumbar puncture, but they weren't testing for anything other than meningitis. So that's how his NKH got
So is
missed.
that like a children's hospital you guys went to, or was like just
Uh,
a local hospital?
it was, yeah, it was a women's and children. Yep, women's and children's hospital. And they did what I feel like was every test under the sun, MRI, all the normal
Did
things
they
they
give you
do. They
initial?
did all of that. They did genetic
So
blood
did they
work.
give you like an initial diagnosis of what they thought was going on?
I want to say he was about a week old, and we got diagnosed with HIE, which is hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, basically a birth injury. because he had brain damage on the MRI. They said a lot of, I believe the gray and white matter was dead. So they said that he either had a stroke in utero or something happened when he was born
Okay.
and he was injured. So,
And then what?
yep, that's what we got
Yeah.
sent
So what's the
home.
process with that then? Like, what were they trying to say to treat, or did they tell you any like path at all?
They did. They were not good. They told us he would never walk, talk, eat, have any quality of life. He would never be extubated. So he was 3 weeks old, and we decided out of love to remove support, and we did. And Luca lived. Um, yeah, we hit 24 hours after they extubated him, and he was breathing on his own finally. And the doctors were like, "What do we do?" They had no idea because they thought he would pass within minutes to hours, and he did not. And then I demanded they put the feeding tube back in once we hit a little over 24 hours. I said, "He's clearly not going anywhere, so can you please put the NG tube back in?" They were not happy with me, but I'm his mom, so they had to listen. And then I want to say we were there for another day. They set us up with hospice. 'Cause they, again, didn't think he would live long after bringing him home. So we were terrified bringing him home. They set us up with hospice. He was in the hospital, luckily, for 31 days. So he automatically qualified for a Medicaid waiver in our state if you're there 30 days or longer, because there's normally a couple year
That's
wait
crazy.
list to get on that waiver. But we got it by one day. Yep. And that waiver has saved us. Yeah. And they just said,
You
just
know,
take him
it's
home and keep him
creepy
comfortable.
that
Because again,
we've had this conversation a couple times where like people, you know, take their children off support, or they're told it's and like NCAGE is going to kill your baby, but you talk to Dr. Van Hove or some of the other people who actually know what's going on, and they'll tell you NCAGE doesn't take our babies. It's the other things like the infections, the respiratory distress. Those are the things that take our babies.
it will be respiratory for Luca,
Yeah,
100%. Yep. It will be respiratory, not
yeah. So
NCH
it's
itself. Yeah.
the fact that you actually lived through that part and experienced it firsthand with actually being told that is
Mhm.
just, I, you know, to me, it's just more evidence that like that's a real thing. It's and these doctors telling us that our kids are going to pass away because of it. Like they're not. It's not what hurts our babies or ends up
Yeah.
taking our babies from us. So, all right. So you take them home. Obviously, it's a terrifying experience because this is all new to you
Hmm.
guys. Um, how long were you
It
under?
was. Yeah. We were
Well, how long were
terrified.
you under the impression that? Sorry,
What's that?
how long were you under the impression that you know it was an injury at birth and not NKH? How long did you go with that?
A
So
whole year.
what brought you to get tested for the
Yep.
NKH then? What changed?
That was so his first year of life was, I'm not gonna lie, it was awful. He had the worst infantile spasms. It was awful. So we were fighting seizures, infantile spasms. He would throw up. At our old house, we had throw up splatter on our ceiling. He got it so high, he would projectile vomit. We were just terrified every day for a year. Um, and then he also was on vigabatrin and valproic acid for close to a year. We had no idea because Luca is technically attenuated severe, but I believe because he was on those 2 meds, unbeknownst to us, that we were harming him,
So
he's now
explain to
severe.
us that really fast. What are those medications and how do they
Um,
harm him?
the vigabatrin and the valproic acid, all of our children have that listed as an allergy. It From what I understand, I'm not a doctor, but it basically, like, sets their brain on fire, raises the glycine, which with
Right.
NKH, you already can't really control. And by giving those 2 meds, I don't even wanna know what his glycine number was for
Okay. So
close to
that's
a year.
basically the big thing is it
So as
increased
a
the glycine
failed.
in the brain. Okay.
And was he
Mhm.
just really
Yep,
sleepy that whole time and
yep,
very lethargic?
yep. If he wasn't sleepy, he was seizing or having spasms constantly, and the spasms were Oh, they were so awful. I almost feel like those are worse than seizures, and that's like
They
that's
just
a hard
they
thing to
look
say, but
painful when
they
when
were
I've seen
bad.
them. So
They do. Yep. Yeah, and he was
Gosh, yeah.
doing it every couple minutes, constantly, and they cluster just like seizures do. So, yeah, that was almost a year of dealing with that, and then Hail Mary attempt was keto diet, but he kept getting sick, so they would push it off, um, and we finally got him to Children's National in Washington, D.C., and he kept desatting and having respiratory illness, and we were there for over a month. He spent his first birthday there. And we finally got him well enough to initiate keto. And before you can initiate keto, they draw very specific labs, a ton of labs. One of the ones they draw is glycine. So he was, I want to say, close to 13 months old, and they got his all the lab results back, and his glycine was, it was either 3 or 4 times. It was over 1,000. Um,
red
and
flag.
they were like, "Whoa!" And so then we Yep. Yep. We finally, cause I see the labs before the
Yeah.
doctors do, cause I have my chart and I check constantly. And I saw the glycine. So I Googled it and NKH popped up and I said, that's it. I think that's what we have. I, and it was weird. I felt relief. I wasn't scared. I wasn't upset. I wasn't mad. I was relieved. The HIE thing, it just didn't sit right with me because I'm the one who gave birth. There were no issues. His pregnancy was smooth. I would like to think they would have picked up, on like
Right.
a stroke in utero or yeah, we finally got our diagnosis of NKH at close to 13 months old. And it was keto
Wow.
that saved his life.
So one that's
Mhm.
I go back to the thing like mom knows what's going on, and I hate when doctors I don't listen.
Mhm.
And it seems like every parent we've talked to so far,
Yep.
and I know it's not the doctors, but it's like it's always like a nurse or somebody else who's not, yeah, that were
Yep.
like,
It was my
no,
nurse. Yep. They would not.
yeah,
He's just sleepy.
but like,
Yep. Yeah. So that's why our story is different. It's a weird thing to say, but I'm almost jealous of people who got the early diagnosis because I truly believe, and I try not to think of it often, but I truly believe I would have a different kid right now had he been
I
diagnosed
understand
on
that
time.
completely. And even though like Nora was diagnosed very early, 12 days
Mhm.
old, we just got done talking to Chansey and Lucas was diagnosed just a couple days old. And I thought the same thing. Like, what if they would have started her
Yep.
on sodium benzoate the day after she was born? Would that have,
That's
helped with any further brain damage? So I completely understand why it's frustrating.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, it's a weird thing to say to be jealous of another, terminal disease family, but I try not to wallow there and stay there. But every now and then it's like, if he would have been 3 days old instead of 13 months old, who would I have
Sure.
now?
well,
So
it motivates us because
that part's
we
hard.
think the same way, and that was one of the things that we're pushing on the research side of it is, a standard of care and a testing regimen so that these families can get
Mm.
tested and find out, hey, do we carry the gene? Does my spouse carry the gene? What's our chances? And then our child can get tested, hopefully in utero, so that way we know ahead of time, and we can start treatment for them right away, right?
Yeah,
So
and
that
you're
way
right.
the kids have the best chance
Mhm.
for a good outcome as possible. Um, and I,
And more family support too. I mean, you mentioned
Yep.
that you guys got the Medicaid waiver right away. And I mean, I fought for 3 years to get that. There's some families that never get it. It's
Yep.
very unfair when our kids
Yep.
are all going through these horrible challenges and these families, either have to quit working or never get sleep and all of the things. So it's just, that's
Yep.
incredible to me that you guys got that support and you deserve it so much. And I wish we could get that for other families.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're very lucky in that aspect. Like in my group of girlfriends, we're the only ones who have nursing. Um, and that's crazy to me. That's crazy. We get 16 hours of nursing a day, and I know how lucky we are. That's the maximum I can get in our state. But it's just wild how it varies state by state when all these families, all these kids, they're all struggling. It's hard. It's not easy to take care of, a child like we have. they rely on us for
Yeah.
literally everything 24 hours a day. I couldn't do it without
No,
nursing.
it's
I could
rough.
not.
So I'm going to go back, just rewind a little bit. So you're at the hospital doing the keto. You find out his glycine is through the roof. Do they initiate sodium benzoate right away? Do they
Mhm.
wait to do keto first? Like, what was the plan there?
They do. Yep. So they discontinued immediately the vigabatrin and the valproic acid. Um, and then I can't, it's a little foggy. It was kind of a busy, traumatic time. I can't remember if I found the Crusaders page or if I Googled NKH and I came across Dr. Van Hove. I emailed him. And I emailed Kristen. Well, Dr. Van Hove happened to be on vacation in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
with his grandkids. He came to see us at the hospital and met Luka
Wow,
and
how lucky of
us.
you.
So he kind of helped. I know. We've had some really bad things, but some really amazing things happen. So yeah, we got to meet him at the hospital. He kind of helped guide the doctors. He actually was already familiar with our neurogeneticist. So they kind of made a plan moving forward how we'll proceed with Luka. But yeah, they started sodium
Did you
benzoate
know
that
a
same day.
difference quickly?
And that's what I was going to say. The child that was in front of me compared to the one that I brought to the hospital was night and day. He was opening his eyes. He was looking around. He was also silent that first year. He didn't cry. And then he had a seizure when we were in the hospital,
And
and
I
he
bet you
cried for the
cried.
first time.
Yep.
And I was, yeah. Then I was bawling. The doctors are looking at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I know he's having a really bad seizure, but I'm so happy. I haven't heard his voice, and he's
Yep.
13 months old. So yeah, that was
I
a
remember that
wild,
feeling too,
wild time.
thinking, Nora didn't cry for almost 6 weeks, and I thought, "I cannot wait for her to cry." And then now when she cries, I'm like, "Nora, come on. It's okay." But that was, like, the best little
Yeah.
sound
Yep.
ever.
Yep. And he sounded like a cat, like a kitty meow when he cried. It was the weirdest
Yes.
sound, but oh, it made me so happy. It was never forget that.
Did
Yeah.
how did keto go? How did that transition go for you guys?
Wonderful. Wonderful. We're still on it. We're rocking and rolling 2.5 years later on it. Huge difference. Huge difference with his
Okay. So
seizures.
is he on other seizure meds too?
For a while there, we're a little rocky. He is, yep. Yeah, he's on 3 currently. Ever since our last hospital visit, the seizures kinda kicked back up, but for a while there, we were only
That's
seeing, like,
amazing.
1 a month.
What do they have him on for the seizures?
Um, yeah, which I know.
What do they have him what
What's
medications,
that?
excuse me, do they have him taking?
Oh, so he's on, phenobarbital, Onfi, and then we just actually 5 days ago started a small dose of Keppra because 'cause he's been on it before just to try and help with the smaller seizures 'cause he has 2 different types. So, yep, we're on those 3 for right now. My hope is we can eventually maybe lower, the pheno or the Onfi just because those are very, they make them very sleepy. Those are like the heavy hitters, so I'm hoping we can eventually
That
lower
was
one
one
of those, but
I wanted to get off the
we'll get there.
phenobarbital first, and so we got rid of that, and
Yep,
I noticed a big difference.
yep,
Um, and we're hoping to get off of Keppra
yep,
and Onfi soon, but we do Epidiolex, and I highly recommend that if your doctors ever recommend going that route.
yep, yep, we used to be on it, and that was about the same time, when he was
Okay,
still getting vigabatrin and valproic acid, so they initially thought that was what was making him worse when hindsight, looking back, it was the other 2. So I would definitely not be opposed to
good.
trying Epidiolex again.
Yeah, and we actually get through
Yep.
I don't know how it was for you guys, but for us, initially, we couldn't get it. Um, we had to do CBD.
Nope. Nope. They fought me tooth and
Yeah,
nail till he was
and
2.
now we get it no problem.
Yes, through CVS specialty, so it's great, and it's covered completely. So, I love that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we just,
Yep. Yeah, that was a battle to get him on that. They did not
it's
want him
crazy,
on that
like,
in the
why they
beginning.
fight so
We
hard
fought for a
against those
month
things.
to get it. For them, he was what? He was like 23 months old. they wanted him to be 2 because it was a medicine for 2 and
Yeah.
up.
We're giving
I
our
said,
kids a
"Guys,
preservative that is like a
come on."
ridiculously high dose. Like, let's talk about waiting to and 2.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
But that's
So,
where they
yep.
draw the line.
But
Yeah.
yep, I know. It's wild. I just shake my head anymore.
Yeah. We
Like,
just went
okay.
off Dex. We've been off it for like a month now.
Yeah.
And then the Keppra is the next thing. We're going to start weaning her off the Keppra. And then from there, I don't really know what the plan is, but that's kind of where we're at. And very rarely do we see seizures. I think it's mostly like when she's really sick, she's either like constipated
Sick.
or she
Yep.
hasn't slept. That's really the only time we see it. Otherwise, if she's like normal Nora, we don't ever see a seizure.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, ever since our last hospital visit, we're seeing more. But that was a really hard, traumatic time for him. It's a big surgery. So I think eventually we can get back to our sweet spot. Um, but I also have very realistic expectations. I don't ever expect to be seizure free.
Yeah.
So as long as we
Right.
only
Yeah.
see a few,
And
I'm good with that.
That's the sad reality of it too, right?
Yeah.
So, and for you, like, you don't know because it was so long, like his poor brain, I mean, it's probably still healing and going through all those processes that grows. So it's going to have hiccups,
Yep.
here and there as you move forward. So,
Yep.
do you know your doses for your sodium benzoate?
Yep. He takes 1,000 milligrams 3
Was
times a
that,
day.
I guess, so for us, like we saw, because she's already on sodium benzoate and then we start keto and immediately it was cut in half. I guess you probably didn't really experience that since like you're getting the diagnosis while you're transitioning to a keto diet, right?
Yep.
What's your,
Yep. So we didn't even have to cut in half because we
yes,
were never on
right?
it.
So
So
did they give you like a ratio goal that they're trying to get him to, or has he already made it to that goal first?
I believe, I think we're on 3 to
That kind
1.
of sounds like the sweet spot for most of the
I think.
families.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get to
Yep.
3 to 1 for
Yep.
keto?
I would say it took us a while. We went nice and slow with it. I can't remember exactly how long. We were in the hospital probably a week after we started keto, but I can't remember how long it took us to get there. But I think they went very slow on it, and we're still kind of tweaking it. Like we just went up on his calories to help him gain weight 'cause he's kind of a string bean for being almost 4. But luckily, our keto dietitian,
That's
she's
awesome.
wonderful.
So
So
you sound exactly like
she's
us.
good.
So we were in the hospital and they went right to 3 to 1 and Nora did not respond well. It was like really rough. And then they backed her off right away.
Mm-hmm.
And we went like 2 to 1 and then like we went up,
It was like 2.75 to 1. But yeah, it was,
yeah. And like it
we
was like
needed it
small increments
slow.
over a year to get us to 3. And like blood draws every,
Yep. Yeah, and I was
yeah.
good with that.
And we had to go get blood draws. Like we had to go get new labs done here soon, but it's like trying to pull a pint of blood out of this poor little kid, just to find out what's going on with him.
Yep. That's why they used to tell me to go to LabCorp, and I said, absolutely not. I am not taking him to LabCorp. So I would just wait till we were inpatient and be like, hey, can you draw my keto
Right.
labs since
Yeah.
we have access? Because
It's not easy.
he's really, really
Yes.
hard.
We're fortunate
Yeah.
that none of the hospitals that we need to go to are close. Like we have a local hospital that does a decent job, but they're not specialized. So then we have to travel, was it 45 minutes to get her blood work done? It's like 30 minutes, probably 30, 45 minutes to get blood work done. And, it's like you got to use her foot because you can't, she has no veins in her arms. And we first started doing that, they were all like weird about it. And it's
We
like,
had to get special permission from her doctor to even get it out of her foot. It's like, come on.
yeah. And then we try to hit the same people because once they get to know you, I'm sure you experience this, like, oh, they know Nora, they know how Nora is. It's so much easier. But now you got to deal with a new person
Yep.
and explain everything and try
Yep.
to get all the nuances figured out. So, like, I try to always hit that certain time when I know that those people are going to be there to.
Yep, you know who's gonna be there, yeah. But, yeah, our hospital is about, so we switched from DC because we bought a house more south. So now we go to a children's hospital in Richmond, and it was the best decision we ever made because it's really scary to change care teams, as I'm sure you know. It's very scary. But Children's National is so large that Luca was just kind of falling through the cracks, especially in the pulmonary world. So yeah, we moved him down to Richmond Children's Hospital, and man, they're wonderful there.
Good.
It's
I'm
worth
glad.
the hour
Yeah, that's what
drive.
we go to St. Louis Children's, and I've got nothing
Yep.
but good things to say about the staff there. The parking sucks, but everything else is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Parking garages always suck. And then we're also very lucky. I'm now friends with a volunteer from our fire department, who's 5 minutes down the road. That's kind of why we picked our house. And we introduced them to Luca in the beginning and said, "You're going to be seeing a lot of us." um, so the volunteer friend that I made, her name is also Kristen. She set us up with life flight. So anytime my cell phone and my address calls 911, they get a helicopter ready for Luca and they fly us to Richmond so that we don't have to
That's
drive.
How
smart.
many times has that happened? Because I know you guys have taken several.
Mhm. Mhm. Probably myself alone, I've probably taken 10 flights with him. My
Wow.
husband, probably five.
And is it all
Yep.
respiratory?
Yep. Always. Yep. That's why we elected to put the trach in. It wasn't, the doctors didn't bring it up. It was my idea. And we've been home for about 40 days, which is our longest
Let me.
stretch that since May. Every 9, 10 days, we're being life
So
flighted to the
I'm
hospital.
curious, as I used to be a paramedic. So the the airway, what was the
Hmm.
issues that you guys were having that you wanted? I'm assuming he's getting infections, right? Is he having trouble clearing his airway? Was that what's leading to the
Yep.
problems?
It was a combination of things. One, he has a critical airway. He has tracheomalacia, bronchiomalacia. He grows schwannomas, so he's on a very specific nebulizer now, every other month. And then when they did an airway scope, he couldn't clear like the bottom half of his lungs. So just yucky stuff was constantly growing, leading to the frequent infections. He can't clear any of it. And then the tracheomalacia was just really it. His airway and left lung would collapse
So
all
is
the
it real
time.
just the real weak walls or linings of the trachea?
Hmm. And then if
Yeah.
then you throw in low tone, that's not doing him any favors. Yeah. So that was why, in our opinion, to give him any quality of life
Is he on
was
a vent then, or
trach.
is he able to breathe on his own unless he's sick?
So we're actually fortunate he can breathe on his own. The problem is the pressure. He's not strong enough to like inflate his lungs fully. So they tried him on just room air heated trach collar in the hospital, and he couldn't do it. I think he was on like 30% oxygen, and they weren't thrilled with that. So now he's on CPAP during the day to help again the pressure. And then at night, we're on the bare minimum vent
Yeah, you
settings.
definitely need to have an airplane.
But, you know, hmm yep. But luckily, like I know some kiddos, if they disconnect, like they go into immediate crisis, we can pick them up, disconnect them, move them to a different chair, move them to the car, and he's fine. So we're lucky in that sense that he doesn't desat immediately. We can at least pop it off because it's a lot of equipment to move someone with
Yeah,
a trach and
absolutely.
vent
Is there
around.
like so do you guys get
But
therapy or anything? Is there anything like options to help him with that?
So therapy wise, he was doing PTOT and then they just added speech on board because I didn't realize speech therapists work very closely with trach patients. I had no idea. That was learned that. But we paused therapies during respiratory season just to protect him. And then once, flu, RSV dies down, we'll get him back into therapies to help with his strength and
Yeah, the things that
all
parents,
that.
most parents don't think about, and the things that you have to think about just to protect your kiddo. It's a lot, and it's super
Yep.
stressful, right?
Yep. It's not worth it to bring him to the therapy center where they have hundreds of kids coming in and out. Same thing, we elected to do homebound school. He's not strong enough to go to school. It would kill him in probably a month if I sent him to
Yeah.
a public school. So we elected to do homebound just to protect him.
That's what Amanda did too with Nora after COVID, right?
Yeah.
And she just this
Mhm.
year started going
Yep.
back to school one day.
Yeah. And just for like an hour and a half. So easing it in. It's not worth
Yep.
it. Right.
Yep. It's just,
Yep.
yep. It's risk reward. When he's older, maybe,
Um,
but probably not. It's just what we have to do to
yeah,
protect
and I'll
them. It's
tell
not
you
worth
what,
it.
like I've said this before, maybe I don't know if you heard, but like we noticed a big difference when she started keto and her being sick. Like now, she almost never gets sick on keto, and I don't know what the correlation is between those two things. But like when
Mhm.
I first met Amanda and we were together, when Nora got sick, like the first time I saw her sick, I was like, we got to take her to the hospital because she was unresponsive.
Yeah.
But that was normal for her, and it was like happening like several
Yeah.
times during the season. And then when we got her to keto, one time she was even like a fraction of that sick. And like everybody in the house had the bug. So like I was waiting
Mhm.
for it, and it was like what, 1 or 2 days.
Mhm.
She's more cranky than anything, but we had one day where she was like just lethargic, where before like it was almost every day she would be like that.
Yeah.
Trouble breathing. We had to put a shaker vest on her to get her to cough and get all the junk up and do that whole
Yep.
process. So
So is there ever a hope that he can get off the
But
trach if he gets stronger, or is that have they even thought about that yet?
um they haven't even thought about it yet. Um and again, I try and always keep my expectations realistic so
Disappointed.
that I'm not despondent when it doesn't happen. Yeah. Yep. So as far as I don't think we'll ever be able to decannulate. Um, who knows though? It's Luca. He loves to shock me and do wild things. So it's obviously not out of the cards, but I don't see him ever being without. And that's okay. It's okay because the past 40 days we've been home. Like I said, he's sick right now. And I've got him on the vent, but he's on room air and he's
Right.
at home and he's comfortable and we can manage all that. So to me, the pros, cons of the trach for Luca, there's way more pros into keeping it in. So, but we'll see. You never know. I know
yeah.
they get stronger as they get
When I
older.
watched your videos, because I was watching, like I went to the
Right.
Hive whenever man told me about you guys, they created videos. I was like, I'm gonna go watch those. And I saw
Mhm.
your story, and I was like, 40 days in the hospital. I was like, that's insane. I can't
Mhm.
imagine, trying to manage your family, like your
Yep.
other kiddos and your husband, and you know, then being at the household all the time and trying to do all that. Like that's a lot. And now to find out you said 45 minutes to Richmond. That's a distance to travel. Like
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
lot of
Mhm.
logistics, and it's not easy. I can't imagine like
Yep.
the impact that it has on your family.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. We hear as special needs parents all the time that we're super strong and it's inspiring, but we do what we have to do. And I think about you all the time when you're at the hospital,
Yep.
with Luca, your husband's at home with the other boys, and it's just a lot on your mama heart. And I know that
Yep.
it's rough. It's not good on a relationship. It's not good on a family. And um, I'm sure
No,
your other yeah,
nope.
I'm sure your other two
It was
sons
awful, but
are understanding, and but I'm sure they miss their mama.
yep. Yeah. And I mean, there's understanding as they can be. They're 2 and 5, you know. But we unfortunately have a system in place. My husband and I, we switch every other day. So every other day, one of us is at home, one's at the hospital, so that we can be there for all the kids at least every other day.
Are your
So,
other boys really
no,
good with Luca, like lovey?
they are. They're incredible. They love him. Even the other day, Chris was telling me, I forget where I was. So we call Luka when he needs to be suctioned, we call him Darth Vader because that's what he sounds like. He lets you know that he needs to be suctioned. Killian heard him that he started sounding like Darth Vader. So he grabs dad, my husband's hand, brings him into Luca's room, points to Luca's suction machine,
Oh,
and then points to Luca. And he's like, Dad, fix him, make it better. I know what you need to do. I just don't know how to do it. So yeah, they're wonderful with Luca. They understand in their own way that he's just a little different and, requires a little more delicacy, whereas, we can throw those 2 around and wrestle them. They know that with Luca,
but man, are they
that's
going to
not the
grow up and
case.
be such good advocates for him? It's incredible to see Alex
Yep. Yep.
as Nora's big sister, and she talks about Nora to her friends, and she loves on her, and she wants to fundraise for her, and she does a lemonade stand every year for her, and it's incredible. So those two are going to be the best brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. Last week, Theo just started kindergarten. And they had a kindergarten day where the parents got invited to come into the school, but they said, only parents, limited rooms. So I messaged his teacher and was like, hey, is it okay if we bring Luca? She knows about him. I said, otherwise, just RSVP for one of us. Only one of us will come. So she cleared it with the admin and we got to bring Luca in. And Theo's the smile on his face when we wheeled Luca into his
Pride.
little classroom, got to show
I
off his
love
brother to all his
That is
friends.
awesome.
Yeah. Yep. It was cool. Yep.
Kind of the very back. I just want to make sure we get everything here. The reason why I asked this question, I think it's really important, but when you found out about NKH, how did you do like the research? Did the hospital provide you any information? Was everything that you learned on your own? Like our experiences, we got a piece of paper, you know, saying this is what this is. Like, can you
Mhm.
explain that to us?
Yeah, like I said, luckily, Van Hove came and met me and, Luca, and then, the neurogeneticist who she left us, unfortunately, I forget where she went. She had heard of NKH and had treated, I believe, 1 or 2 other kiddos with it, because I think there's 5 kids in Virginia who have NKH. So she was familiar with it, so she kinda helped walk us through, but I would say most of the learning was me. I threw myself headfirst into researching, and I'm a particular researcher. I will only follow or read stuff from, like, Mayo Clinic, like, true, sources of
Doctor,
information, not Doctor Google.
I like
And
that.
then
You
I
need to
found the
coin that.
Crusaders. Yeah. Yeah. Then I found the Crusaders and I messaged Kristen and I just kind of threw myself into that community because honestly, it made me feel better. It made me feel not so alone. Like, because when I heard 500 worldwide, I was like, oh my God, what in the world? So then to find other families, and Kristen is so welcoming and Chansey and everyone. So I kind of linked up with them and just dove deep into the community because again,
Absolutely.
it
People
made
don't
me
actually
feel
understand.
better.
And I want to tell you that I think the 500 number is vastly
Mhm,
understated. I mean, just your story alone, nobody knew for a year. How many kids are out there that never get
mhm.
diagnosed, or families who let their child
Aren't
pass
that
not knowing that
yeah,
there are real treatments that, can give your child a quality of life while we work
yep,
towards, better treatments and hopefully a cure one day. Like, I think there's way more than 500. And that hopefully, like, us going out and talking and you guys going
yeah,
out talking, people see these and maybe start asking more questions and find some answers that help,
mhm,
give us a true indicator of how many kids are actually out there. We're going to
yep,
transition just a little bit to daily life. And it sounds like yours is pretty complex. So,
mhm,
um, yeah, tell us, like, walk us
it
through a
is.
normal day with Luca. Like, what is, like, from time you guys wake up to time you go to bed?
Mhm. So time we wake up, our nurse leaves. We utilize our nursing overnight so we can switch off caregiver mode. We can go in there and be mom and dad for once. And then we can sleep and relax and have just time to decompress. But daily life in the morning, our nurse, Mr. Solomon, he leaves at 8. So then it's on me because my husband works. I had to quit my job. Um, so my biggest thing is I don't want him to just lay in his bed. Granted, he's non-mobile. He's fully dependent, but I don't want him to just stay in his bed in his room all day. And we did move his room downstairs so that I have eyes on him all day, all the time. So his bedroom is downstairs, but I try and bring him out into the living room. We have 3 different chair options for him, so I just rotate him through those because I don't want, to
Yeah.
develop sores or pressure points. Um, and I make sure he's included in whatever we're doing. If we're watching TV, he's out there watching TV. If I'm in the kitchen, I'll wheel his chair into the kitchen. I've got his vent on a little rolling cart, so I just wheel both of them around me. Um, he has toys that I try to get him to play with at least every other day, depending on how he's feeling. But we've got the Switch toys. He gets medicine 3 times a day. We eat overnight just because it's one less thing I have to carry around during the day. I'm already carrying a pulse ox event, a suction, an emergency
Yeah.
bag if I can lose the pump. So at this point, we need like a suitcase to wheel around with Luka. Um, but yeah, he's just downstairs with us. We make sure he's very involved in everything we do. Even if he's asleep, I want you out here with me just because you're part of the family too. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of work. But again, we have 16 hours of nursing. So that is,
Is
I
it
hate the
just for
word
the week
blessing,
or is
but
that
it's
a
such a
day?
blessing. It really is.
Okay. Just want to
7
make
days
sure
a
I got
week,
that right.
16 hours a
So,
day. Yep. Yep. So I think it adds up to like 156 hours a week. It's the maximum you
okay.
can get in Virginia on the
So,
waiver.
medication wise, so you're feeding all night, which that's different. I've maybe does that. Maybe there's, obviously I haven't met everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
how does it work out? Like when you do your feedings, are you spreading them out
Yep.
over, 3 different feedings? Is it,
Nope. So, oh yeah, I should have said that. Luca has a GJ tube. So he
yeah,
eats through his intestine, the J tube, and then we also put benzoate into his J because it upsets his tummy. So with J feeds, it absorbs at a much
okay.
slower rate, so you can't do bolus. So he eats. I just got him back to 90
Okay.
mLs
So
an
he's
hour for
continual
10
feeding
hours
all night then.
overnight.
It's just
Hmm.
technically like
Yep.
one
Yep. All
feeding,
night.
but it's over 10 hours.
Yep. Yep. It's just slower. Yeah. Because of the absorption rate. So yeah, he gets all his calories overnight. And he's never shown like hunger
And the
cues
night
or
nurse
anything. So
takes care of that for
he
you,
just
right?
gets,
Okay.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. I try to work smarter, not harder. And like I have my nurses make my meds in the morning and night so I don't have to. So they do that. They do the feeding, all of that, all of that.
Sure.
So it's just
All right.
less
And you
on my
said he's got
plate during the
switches, so
day.
he's able to
Yep.
activate switches.
He is. Yep. Yep. Just,
Mhm.
it's just like the big red yellow button, but it's hooked up to his toys and
And
he'll sit there
like
and
it's
bang away.
purposeful, right? So
Yes, I would say like 80% of his movements are non-purposeful, but with like the switch, that's purposeful because he can see
I
the
love that.
cause effect.
What about
With
sounds or noises?
yeah,
Does he,
yep.
we talked to Chansey and she said, I swear he says mama sometimes. Do you ever hear any of those kind of sounds from Luca?
No, he used to. He used to talk a lot. Um, I think I have a video on my Facebook. It's so cute. We were going back and forth, but never any real words. It's just Luca's version of talking. Unfortunately, that was something we lost with the trach, is his ability to make noise. Um, but
Yes.
we got lots of benefits from the trach. So maybe one day he'll be strong enough we could put a speaking valve on there so we can kind
Then
of
he'll
hear
have a real
him.
Darth Vader voice.
But
it makes
yes, yep.
Halloween easy, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Just
Yep.
using it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got,
Yep.
as far as medical equipment, obviously you have a vent. You got the pump. Uh, what else do you guys use
Mhm.
for equipment?
So we have feeding pump, vent. We have 2 different suctions because you need one that goes inline and for mouth. We have cough assist, which helps just pull everything up, all the yucky stuff that gets trapped in his lungs. We have shake vest. We have activity chair, pee pod, bath chair, wheelchair. I
You guys got a lot of stuff.
think that's
And then
everything.
does that all come through
Yeah, we
your
got a lot of
Medicaid
stuff.
waiver then? Do you guys have, so we have like an
Mhm.
SB40 board. I
Yep.
don't know if that translates in where you guys are, but it's like a county level, and then they come out and they'll ask us like, "Hey, do you guys need equipment? Do you guys have something like that?"
Yeah, someone just came out from Medicaid last week, because I need a different part for his activity chair, so they came out. So I think that's kind of the equivalent, and they came out and looked, we're gonna get a wheelchair ramp installed in our garage because we have stairs in our garage. So yeah, that all kinda ties back into through the county and his
And then do
Medicaid
they
waiver.
do your waiver? Do they mandate that you? I can't remember that program's called where there's like
Um,
respite care.
yeah, respite care, personal assistance.
So Virginia is interesting. I was Luca's paid caregiver. They paid me for 25 hours a week to take care of him. They just redid all the guidelines, so now I only get 10 hours a week. But if you accept pay as their paid caregiver, you forego all your respite hours. So we
Okay.
have 0
Yeah.
respite
So then,
hours.
like for when Amanda, for her to get nursing, she had to take
Mhm.
respite care.
And I couldn't be the one to do it. So it has to be like my dad or someone, has to do it.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Yeah, they make it
They do.
incredibly difficult here right now. If they're 5 or under, they cut everyone's hours. But once they turn 5, then they're more willing for the parents to be
That doesn't make
paid as
much
a
sense to me
caregiver.
because,
It doesn't. It's infuriating because I can't work. I can't bring them to a daycare center. I can't just get a babysitter, but we're supposed to just
well, and it's
magically be
always the people that are
financially
making
okay.
these decisions that aren't in the fit. So difficult for sure.
Yep. 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 But it is what it is
So
for now, I guess.
our next kind of area I want to talk about is like the family impact. I know we talked a little bit about it already, but you know, obviously having other children and then, Luka, how has that
Hmm.
changed you as like a mother and a person? And I think you probably have a pretty good comparison there with that.
Yeah. I mean, I would not change a second of Luca's life and how he is and the time we've spent with him, but it's hard. It's really hard. Even today, my oldest son was in the dining room. He was getting mad at one of his Hot Wheels toys. He needed my help because I had to leave him. Luca threw up. So my husband needed help. So I ran to Luca's room and then Theo needed my help. And I said, I feel bad because I just had to ditch Theo to go take care of Luca. And that's constant. And then what did Theo ask me? It broke my heart this morning. Well, why is Luca extra special? I said, well, baby, you guys are all extra special. Just Luca, his health isn't as good as yours. You can get a cold and you're fine. Luca, not so much. But I said, you guys are all just as special. It's just Luca needs mommy and daddy a little more sometimes. So it's hard, especially that he's only 5 and he's already kind of picking up
Right. That's
on
kind of jealous of
stuff like
not
that.
getting as much of mom's
It's,
attention. Hard.
mhm. But we try and intentionally do things. Like Theo loves going to the grocery store with me. So I'll make sure we go to the grocery store. I'll stop and get a McDonald's. Mom, can we go in? You know what? Absolutely. I can take 20 minutes and spend that time with you. So we just try, and my husband and I do stuff like that just so they don't ever feel like Luca is more important because that's not the case. He just
Yeah. And
relies on
that's,
us a little more.
it's just one of those things. And bravo to you guys able to figure out a balance there and try to at least, help be there for your kiddos because it is difficult. Like, yeah,
It's hard, yeah, especially when the Luca's sick,
yeah,
it's all hands on deck, so it's tough, but we just try
Right. I was
try
trying
our
to do the
best. That's
math.
all you can do.
So your youngest, did you know Luca's diagnosis when you had your youngest?
Uh, did we? So they are 11 months apart.
I was just wondering how that when you shift
When
between like
Killian was born, no. No, we did not know because so when I gave birth to Killian, Luca was upstairs on the 8th floor. My blood pressure and vision went bad, so I had Luca's nurse check my blood pressure. They sent me down to labor and delivery on the 2nd floor. I had him.
oh,
8 hours later, was back up with Luca. So no, we
dang,
hadn't gotten the
well
diagnosis
and
yet.
kind of like,
Mhm.
you're going into it blindly in that I know Lucas, you had that other diagnosis, but it makes you wonder, had you known
Mhm.
he had NKH, like would that have changed whether or not you and your husband tried to have your third child or not. I know that's a big thing in our community is, going through
Yep.
all of the testing and all of that. And sometimes it's a
Yeah.
shot in the dark because it's
Hmm.
25%, that we can have another baby. And it's incredible to me that you had a healthy son first and then
Yeah.
Luka. And same with me. I had a healthy daughter and then Nora. So it's crazy.
Yep. Yep. And they did want Killian to be tested. And obviously we could tell the difference was night and day between Luca and Killian, but we still tested him and
So do you know
obviously he
if
doesn't have it.
Killian
So
or Theo have um, carry the gene if they're carriers?
we haven't tested them yet. The doctor
Yes.
said
Okay.
when they get older, and if they decide to have kids, then they would do the testing. But they
Not
said for
important right
right
now. I
now,
know we
since they're
haven't
so
tested
young,
Alex, but I'm
yeah,
interested because I want her to know as well and be prepared. Sure.
yeah, it's important to know. Yeah, because the odds of them meeting someone else
Exactly.
are rare. But hey, look at all of us. We
We hit the
managed to do
rare
it.
lottery if you want to look at it that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So tell us about the support in the community. Like, obviously this can be very isolating, to have to deal with this. And you
Mhm.
obviously reach out to Kristen, and then you also, you formed your own group as well. So I would really love to hear about that because I think it's important that people do that because you need friends, you need people who
It,
understand what's
it,
going on with your situation.
who understand that's the problem. Yeah, because I would say I lost all my friends in real life. They'll still text every now and then, but do they come by? No, not, you know, they have their lives too. So I don't expect them to drop everything to, help me. Um, but my five girlfriends who we went on the mommy and bee trip, it was wonderful. I would be lost without them. Absolutely lost. We have a Facebook Messenger group, and that thing goes off all day, every day. Anytime any one of us has a question, we bounce ideas off each other. If we're freaking out, should I take them to the hospital? Should I ride it out at home? Is this a seizure? Have you used this medicine? It's just so comforting to know that there are other people who walk the same walk
How'd you
that
connect
we
with them?
walk every day. And I don't even remember, just probably commenting. Like Sarah and I, we've been friends the longest. And then I think Ashley posted on one of the NKH groups and said, "Hey, would anyone like to take a vacation with just the moms and their NKH kiddos?" And we were the six who went on the vacation. And ever since then, we
That's
just
awesome. What'd you guys
stuck
do
like
for your
glue.
vacation, if you mind me asking?
We went to
Oh, it's
Missouri.
fine.
I actually reached out to Amanda. Yep, yep. But you were working. Yeah, yeah. So we went to Branson because it was in the middle of
Right.
all of us because we live all over the country. Like I'm in Virginia, Myra's in California, Ashley's in Michigan, so they're just everywhere. So Missouri was the middle, and we rented a big Airbnb. And honestly, we just hung out with the
The pictures
kids. We
were
took them to an
amazing because you guys went to that
aquarium.
restaurant, and I
Went out to
remember I don't know if it was you or one of the
yeah,
other moms commented,
yes, with the wheelchairs all
"How
on
caring
one
you guys
side,
are."
and then the moms.
Gives me
Yep,
chills. That was
it was
incredible.
really cool. Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
it was really cool. So yep, and then we'll meet
So then
in
that kind of
April
leads
at the
us into you
conference.
guys are starting your own podcast called The Hive.
Mm, Yep. We are. We're still very much in the infancy stage. As we say,
Yep.
life is lifing for all of us, especially my family. We were inpatient for 41 days. Ashley and Myra, Maggie, they were all inpatient. There's just been a lot going on. So we started just kind of filming like day of the life videos. I did one for long term hospital stay. Ashley did one short term. So we're still kind of figuring it out, but our goal is kind of the same thing as this. We just want to bring light to NKH and the rare disease life and the
Well,
struggles and the
I love
triumphs
that you guys
and the
commented on telling
isolation.
like the truth about things because there's a lot of false information out there. And I think you guys are trying to do a good, yes, do a good
That's
job
what
of, this is,
inspired. Yep,
it's just
that
the truth.
inspired. there's just a lot of, like you said, false information that goes around,
It is.
and
I
it's
think it's also,
infuriating.
I love that
And that's
it's
kind of
showing
hurt.
how you can connect with such amazing friends throughout this, because it is isolating and it is hard to really understand
Mhm.
unless you're going through it. And how great to show that I met, these other amazing women and their beautiful babies, and we're all friends now. And it's inspiring to other families and other people, that they can find that too. So I love that you guys did that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. They've been a lifesaver. And
Oh,
I
I'm
So
hope
sure
I
you
have
glad.
have.
been
Yeah.
to them as well.
And don't get disheartened that's taking a while to get started, because we talked about doing like social media like a couple years ago, and like we kind of did a little bit, but I don't know how to make TikTok
Mhm.
videos. I'm not gonna pretend I do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You're like my
And then we
husband.
went
He's like,
to
"What? TikTok?
back
No."
in April, we went to
Yeah.
the Orphan Drug Conference with NKH Crusaders. And like that was one of the big things we took away,
Uh-huh.
is like we've got to do a better job, not just like as Nora Jane Foundation, but just as a rare disease, like I want to say group, but yeah, I guess I'll just say group as a whole. We just got to do a better job of doing social media, because honestly, at the end of the day, where do people get their information from? It's like, well, social media, and we just didn't have a very good footprint. So, and it
Yep.
literally took from April until what, October, and I was finally like, we've got to do this. Like we've been so busy, but we've got to start doing something. If we don't start, we're never going to get there.
Mhm.
So that's
I drug
Yep.
my feet because this is out of my
Yeah.
comfort zone. And he basically was like, "We're doing it. We're doing it tonight."
I
I
know.
waited till my night nurse was here, and I had to get
Yep.
some
Yep.
coffee and
Just
be
gotta
like, "Whew."
start.
But
yeah,
now it's not so bad.
and it's a learning experience. Like it's definitely like you know,
Yeah.
I we've recorded several people, and like one recording, I thought I was recording video. I didn't record any video. It was all audio. So like eventually, hopefully that one gets to come out. But like we told you before we got started, like we did one with Kristen, and
Yeah.
it was so robotic feeling, and we're all brand new to it. But Kristen's not, like she talks all the time, so she always looks good.
Mhm.
But
We were terrible.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
She's always on camera
so
on the
don't get
yeah.
disheartened. Definitely. And here's the
Yep.
other thing too, is like, I think it's important to get perspectives from everybody, not just like one source. So the more of us
Mhm.
out there doing these type of things, I
Yep.
think it's way better,
Better.
because you guys have different experiences too that need to get
Yep.
put out there. And it's definitely different from what we're doing. So I think it's really nice. And I watched all your videos, and like the 2-minute videos are good. Like that's,
They keep your attention, yeah. Eventually, we hope to do something like this, but I was like, at least we can get some content, some stuff out there for people to, hear about
yeah,
NKH and see what
Yeah,
we do
absolutely.
and
build
are
that
good or
following, and
bad.
then when you guys do put out a longer video, you have all of these people. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward
we'll
to
get
it.
there.
Um, let's see. So we talked about medical stuff. Let's go with so what do you think has been the hardest moment you've had to face so far?
Um, there's been a lot. Most recently, bef- after Luca's trach recovery was not easy at all. It was terrible. I watched him, what did they call it? Significant event. It wasn't necessarily a code blue, but he desatted to the 20s in front of me and turned purple, and all the people running in. It's just that never gets easier, even though I've seen it probably like 5 times now. And then the biggest thing I struggle with is what we talked about earlier. Had he been diagnosed correctly? Had I been listened to? Like I think about that constantly on a loop in my head, and I try not to compare him to other babies, but I compare him. I'm really good friends with Charlotte in Australia. She has Alice, who is attenuated. And I know technically Luca is attenuated. So the comparison,
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
really hard for
I
me.
can see that being a struggle. So I can't ask you about the hardest thing without asking you about the most beautiful
Mm.
thing. So for you, what was the most beautiful moment you had?
Just Luca's smile. He makes it so worth it. And just, the doctors in the beginning, he's going to have no quality of life. He recognizes who his mama is, and he lets her know how much
Isn't
he
that
loves
amazing?
her
You
when
can
he
walk in
sees
the room
me.
and they hear your voice and like they
No.
totally change.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he'll whip his head over. He knows I'm over there, and big smile, genuine smile. Yep,
Absolutely.
that just makes it all worth it because that shows me
Oh,
he does have a
yes.
quality of life.
And that's something else too. Like we like want to
Mhm.
harp in is don't let the doctors tell you what your kid can do. Let your kid tell you what they can do. And I think you will be you'll be
Decide what
surprised
they
of
can.
what they're
Yep.
capable of. And the more you support them, the more they're gonna do.
Yep. And yeah, and like again, back to me being realistic. He will never walk. He will never talk. He will never eat by mouth. But look at what he can do. It may look different than a normal kiddo, but there are amazing
Yeah.
things he can do
And we're going
Yep.
to make
that
sure
I
they
was
have a
told he never
beautiful life
could.
as long as they're with us.
Yep. As long as he blesses me, I will
Yep.
make sure he's comfy,
Let's
cozy, and
see.
happy.
Advice or messages you would give to others. So obviously if you go back, is there anything you wish you'd known earlier? Um,
Besides the diagnosis.
yeah, besides I think the diagnosis, I think
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I would have pushed more before being sent home. I wish that I would have like dug my heels down and said, "Nope, we're not going home. You figure this out
I
because
think
this
that's
is
so
not
hard,
right."
though. You had just had a baby.
But I
I think that's
was.
so hard. You had just had
What's that?
him, and I felt the same way. And
Hmm.
I look back and I'm like, I wish I had Alex before this. I wish I would have just said, "Hey, this isn't right." But you trust them, and you're exhausted, and you just gave birth, and
You're
exactly.
not used to advocating yet. That's a skill you learn the more time in the game. So it's easy for me to say that, but
Yeah.
I wish I would have pushed back a little
is
harder.
there is there anything that you wish people would understand more about like your situation and your family situation?
To me, I wish people wouldn't feel bad for us. We get a lot of like sympathy, I feel like. I feel like any special needs parents gets a lot of sympathy. And is it hard? Of course it is. Being a parent in general is hard, but our life is still beautiful even when it's
That's a great
hard. And I feel very, very, very lucky to have Luca, and I will choose him in this lifetime and any other lifetime. So people don't always have to be sorry just because our
Yeah,
lives look a
I
little
totally get
different than
that.
theirs.
Um, as far as other
Hmm.
parents who are just giving birth, what would you say to another parent who's just received diagnosis that their child has engaged?
Ooh. Buckle up. No. No, like I said, it really helped me in the beginning to find the community and just immerse myself in it. Um, take everything the doctors say with a grain of salt. They don't know everything. A lot of them, they just went and Googled NKH and come back in your room and spout off what they read. Um, yeah, and it's
Yes,
hard, but you can do it.
and get into a routine. I think that's like the big thing is figure out your routine. You know how your day's going to go, and that's what you're going to stick with because that's your normal.
Yep. Yeah, that's your new normal. That's what we joked about when we brought Luca home with the trach. Like we had a routine. Okay, now we got to figure out our new
Yep.
normal. What does life look like now? It's a little different, but now we got it going and we've got our new
And you're
routine
a big
down.
advocate for, the research and all of that. Can you talk a little bit about the congressman and how you went that route?
Yep. Yeah, I did. So it kind of how it happened was interesting. I can't even remember. I sent him an email. He sent me one back, not him, like a generic email. And then I'd gotten a text on my phone. It said, "Hey, Eugene Vinman's doing a phone town hall. Do you want to join?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. I do want to join." And it asked if anybody had any questions, press one. So I pressed one. There was a couple thousand people on this call, and I got selected. And my question was actually about Medicaid and the cuts that were happening and all that, what he was going to do. And then he answered my question, and I want to say it was a week later, his staff reached out to me because I had mentioned about Luka and his terminal disease. He was 3 at the time, and that always pulls on people's heartstrings when they hear, of a terminal 3-year-old. So he invited me down to his office, met me and Luka, and then I asked him if he would announce NKH Awareness Day every May 1st in Virginia, and he agreed. So he brought us down to the Capitol. We got to see him present it on the floor. We were up in the rotunda or whatever it's called. Yeah, and it was really cool. I have his cell phone number, so I can call him at any time if I need anything, which just not many people can say. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I love it. I think every state, the more states you get involved, the more people who, again, it's just about the awareness. Not many people have heard of NKH, and I know, they make a lot of those awareness days for every disease in every state. But the more we do it and keep bringing it up, I
The
think
squeaky
it will
wheel
help
gets the oil.
with the awareness. With the
Yes, no, you're
research.
totally right. I think that's something that we could do a much better job at as a group is that, reach out to our states, get, changes in Medicaid. Like, why is it so difficult? Again, we talk about you have to fight to get nursing. We shouldn't have to fight to get nursing for our kids. Our kids clearly
Everything.
are unable to take care of themselves. So that's something that should just, hey, you have this diagnosis, they automatically should qualify for these services. Yeah.
Qualify for XYZ. Yep. Instead of us having to fight. But the more people you get involved in wanting to join the fight, I think the bigger the wave will be in changing
Absolutely.
things in the future for other
So
families.
that's pretty awesome you did that. Amanda was telling me about it, and I was like, that's pretty slick.
I love the pictures because he took pictures with Luka too, and I think that's just amazing. Such a neat story.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
is
Yeah.
there,
Yeah. It was cool. And Luka was on 5 liters of oxygen that whole day in Washington, D.C. He was sick as a
Yeah,
dog. And I
you
said,
better
buddy,
suck
you
it up,
better get
Luka.
ready. We're going. I think we brought 5 tanks with us.
is there anything else that we haven't talked
Yeah.
about that you maybe want to put out or discuss?
No,
Yeah.
I think we
Will you tell the
covered a
ladies to
lot.
Hive not to give up and keep pushing and get that podcast going because we want to watch it. I think you have a very unique perspective
I
just getting
will.
moms
So,
together and just doing all that stuff. It's really awesome. So, well, I guess we'll
Yep.
go ahead and end this. Just if you don't mind, just stick around for a few minutes. We'll get it done. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.